For a man with such ambition, his taste in women is remarkably cheap. The words, dripping with a venomous sweetness, were meant only for me. I stood there, in a borrowed dress that suddenly felt 2 sizes too small, my hands clammy around a glass of orange juice I hadn't touched. Isabel Vance, daughter of the man who owned everything in this gilded ballroom, including the man I loved, leaned in closer. Her perfume, something expensive and floral, was suffocating. "Look at you," she whispered, her eyes, the color of cold steel, raking over me from head to toe. "You don't belong here. You're like a charity case he picked up off the street. A little project." Her lips curled into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. But projects get old. People move on to better things, shinier things. She glanced across the room to where he was standing, laughing with her father, my Ethan, the man who told me I was his everything. "So I'm giving you a friendly warning," Isabel continued, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial hush. "Walk away. Go back to your little life before you get crushed, because I always get what I want, and I want him." That was the moment my world began to crack. Right there, in the middle of a party, celebrating a future I thought was mine. I didn't know it then, but her words weren't a warning. They were a prophecy. Have you ever loved someone so completely that the thought of life without them felt like trying to breathe without air? That was my love for Ethan. A love I would have died for, and I almost did. The music shifts, becoming warmer, more hopeful. The sounds of a bustling, friendly office fade in. "Julia, flowers for you. Someone's got a secret admirer." My colleague, Chloe, winked as she placed a vibrant bouquet on my desk. I laughed, the tension from that memory, from that party, melting away for a moment. "It's not a secret, Chloe. You know who it's from." I know, but a girl can dream, right? I swear, I'm starting to think my great love got stuck in traffic 10 years ago and just gave up. When are you two finally tying the knot so I can get outrageously drunk at your wedding? I smiled, pulling the small, pink card from the bouquet. "Soon. We're thinking the end of the year. Yes. Finally. I'm so happy for you, Jules. You deserve it." I hugged the flowers, their fresh scent, a welcome comfort. The note was in his familiar, confident script. "For my girl, a long day at the office. Can't make it back tonight. Don't be sad. 2 more days, and I'm all yours. I love you. My name is Julia. I'm 23, a graphic designer at a small, friendly advertising agency in the city. It's not a corporate giant, but the people are kind, the work is creative, and my best friend since kindergarten, Chloe, works right across the hall. After my dad passed away, it's just been me and my mom in our small, second-floor walk-up in a quiet, working-class neighborhood. Life was simple, maybe even a little poor by the standards of this city, but it was peaceful, it was happy, and for 3 years, my world revolved around Ethan. Ethan Hayes, 29 years old. He'd just been promoted to head of the sales division at Orion Global, one of the 5 largest corporations in the country. We met by chance, a clumsy collision in the electronics aisle of a department store that ended with him insisting on buying me coffee to apologize. It was one of those stories you see in movies. From that coffee, something just clicked. We fell for each other easily and completely. When I talk about Ethan, a part of me still swells with pride. I met him when he was just starting out at Orion, another hungry junior associate in a sea of them. He came from nothing, less than nothing. His father was a gambling addict who'd lost everything, driving his mother to leave without a trace. His dad eventually died in a hit and run, fleeing his debts. Ethan was left with nothing but grief and a mountain of his father's mistakes. He could have broken, so many would have, but Ethan, he forged himself in that fire. He poured every ounce of his being into his work at Orion. He was relentless, studying, networking, working 18-hour days, and over the years, he clawed his way up. He bought a decent condo, a nice car. He became someone. He always told me I was his lucky charm. That being with me, someone who saw him when he had nothing, gave him the strength to fight for everything. So, when he finally felt secure, when he had the condo and the car and the title on his office door, the first thing he did was buy a ring. He told me he wanted to spend the rest of his life protecting me, loving me, giving me the world he never had. And I said yes. Of course, I said yes. My mom adored him. Without a father of his own, he slotted into our little family perfectly. He was the son she never had. She'd cook his favorite meals, and he'd come over, filling our small apartment with his laughter and ambitious energy. He was one of us. Life was perfect. A quiet, beautiful story heading towards its happy ending. The wedding was set for December. I spent my nights sketching wedding dress designs, imagining the moment I would walk down the aisle toward him. We were going to be so happy, weren't we? But while I was dreaming of white lace and wedding bells, a different future was already on its approach. Flying in on a private jet, Harrison Vance, the CEO and founder of Orion Global, sat in his penthouse office, the city skyline spread out beneath him like a kingdom. He pressed a button on his intercom. "Send my assistant in." A moment later, a young man entered. "Yes, Mr. Vance." "Postpone the 3 o'clock board meeting. My daughter is on her way home. I want the entire executive team there to welcome her." "Of course, sir." On that private jet, Isabel Vance was flipping through the latest issue of Orion's corporate magazine. At 26, she was the sole heir to the Vance empire, a princess who had been given everything she ever wanted and therefore had never learned the meaning of the word no. If she wanted something, she took it, and no one could stop her. She skimmed the pages, bored, until she landed on page 3, a feature on the company's rising stars. And there he was, a full-page photo. Ethan Hayes, head of sales division. Well, she murmured to herself, a slow, predatory smile spreading across her face. "Looks like Daddy's company has some interesting assets I wasn't aware of." The image of the handsome, brilliant young executive burned itself into her mind. When she landed, her father was waiting. "Isabel, my girl, you're finally home." "Daddy, oh, I missed you," she cried, hugging him tightly. "Your mother has prepared a feast fit for a queen to welcome you back. The whole staff is excited. I can't wait. Just give me a few minutes, okay? I want to wander around the office a bit, see what's changed." "Of course, sweetheart. Take your time." She was heading toward the executive wing when she saw him, waiting for the elevator. Ethan. She recognized him instantly. He was even more handsome in person. As the elevator doors opened, they both reached for the call button at the same time, their fingers brushing. Ethan immediately pulled his hand back. "Oh, sorry about that. My mistake." Isabel's smile was dazzling. She knew exactly who he was. "Ethan Hayes, right?" He looked surprised. "Yeah. Have we met?" She just winked. "I know who you are." He smiled politely, a little confused, but said nothing more. Inside the elevator, Ethan noticed a woman from the mailroom, struggling with a heavy cart. The service elevator on the other side overloaded. He held the door. "Hey, you look like you're in a hurry. Come on in, there's room." "Oh, no, I couldn't, sir. This is the executive elevator." "Nonsense. Get in here." He not only held the door but helped her lift the heavy cart over the threshold. This small act of kindness, of decency, caught Isabel by surprise. Handsome, brilliant, and a gentleman, she thought. This is getting interesting. She watched him, expecting him to at least glance her way again. But he didn't. He just stared straight ahead. Isabel Vance was used to being the center of every man's universe. To be ignored was new. It was a challenge. And the more he acted as if she didn't exist, the more determined she became to make him see no one else. Later, in the boardroom, Harrison Vance made the official introduction. "Everyone, I'd like you to meet my daughter, Isabel. She's just returned from her studies in France and will be taking on a management role here at Orion. She's young, so I expect you all to show her the ropes and give her your full support." There was a round of applause. Isabel smiled graciously, shaking hands, her eyes scanning the room until they locked on Ethan. She walked directly to him, extending a perfectly manicured hand. "Ethan, it's a pleasure to officially meet you. I have a feeling we'll be working very closely together. I hope I can count on your support to help take this company to the next level." He shook her hand firmly. "You can count on it." After the meeting, Isabel went to her father's office. "I'm not taking any time off, Dad. I'm starting tomorrow." Harrison Vance looked surprised. "Isabel, this is a shock. My hardworking daughter? Who is this, and what have you done with my child?" "You better get used to it," she said with a grin, "because from now on, I'm going to be the most dedicated employee you've ever had." He laughed, delighted. "Well, I'm thrilled to hear it. But for now, go home. Your mother is waiting." "Okay, Dad." But she didn't go home. She went straight to Ethan's office. She found him packing his briefcase. "Mr. Hayes." He looked up. "Miss Vance, is there something I can help you with?" "Tonight, my parents are throwing a party to welcome me home. I'd like to formally invite you to attend. I'm sure you'd find the networking beneficial." He hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "If you're inviting me, then I'll be there." "Excellent," she purred. "It'll be a great opportunity for us to get to know each other better. I'll see you tonight." She smiled and walked out, leaving Ethan to his work. As soon as she was gone, he picked up his phone. I answered on the first ring. "Hey, you. Hey, baby. You about to head home?" "Getting there." "Listen, change of plans for tonight. I need you to be my date." "A date? Where are we going?" "The CEO's throwing a welcome home party for his daughter. She just got back. I want you there with me." "It's time." I introduced my future wife to everyone at the office. My heart soared. "Really? Really? Wear that white dress I love. 7 o'clock. I'll pick you up." "Okay. I'll be ready." I hung up the phone, a giddy, happy smile plastered on my face. Chloe walked past my desk. "What's got you grinning like that?" "Ethan's taking me to a party at his boss's house tonight. He's going to introduce me to everyone." "Ooh. La. It's getting official. You wear that white dress I helped you pick out. You'll look like an absolute goddess." "I swear." "I will," I laughed. "I've got to go get ready." I practically floated home. I put on the simple, elegant white dress. I wore my hair down, long and straight. A little makeup, nothing too dramatic. When Ethan arrived, he just stared at me for a long moment. "Wow," he breathed. "Julia, you look incredible." "You ready to go?" I asked, blushing. "Let's go." The Vance mansion was like something out of a magazine. A sprawling estate of glass and stone overlooking the city. The party was in full swing, attended by the city's most powerful and wealthy. Waiters moved through the crowd with trays of champagne and impossibly intricate hors d'oeuvres. Harrison Vance had clearly spared no expense, spending a fortune to celebrate the return of his only daughter, his little treasure. But the guest of honor didn't look happy. Isabel stood near the grand staircase, her eyes fixed on the entrance. "He's late. Don't tell me he's not coming." Her mother, Eleanor Vance, came to her side. "Isabel, darling, who are you waiting for?" she sighed. "Why isn't Ethan Hayes here yet?" "You're waiting for him? But you just got back. How do you even know him?" "We'll be working together, Mother." "Of course I know him. It's just good business to have him here." "Well, your father says he's the most brilliant young man in the company. A real rising star." Isabel nodded. "He is." Just then, Ethan and I walked in. When Isabel saw me holding his hand, her face froze. A flicker of disbelief, then pure, unadulterated fury. "He has a girlfriend? I thought he was single. Looks like I'm a step behind." Ethan led me straight to his hosts. After the introductions, he brought me over to Isabel. "Miss Vance, I'd like you to meet my girlfriend, Julia." Isabel's eyes were cold. "You have a girlfriend? I had no idea you were." "Taken. We've been together for 3 years," Ethan said proudly, squeezing my hand. "We're actually planning on getting married at the end of the year. You'll have to come to the wedding." Isabel forced a tight, brittle smile. She said nothing. Ethan, oblivious, smiled at me. "What can I get you to drink?" "Orange juice?" "Please, be right back." As soon as he was gone, Harrison Vance approached him. "Ethan, my boy, come with me. There's a potential investor I want you to meet." "Of course, sir." He handed me the juice and kissed my forehead. "You okay here by yourself for a few minutes? Just grab whatever you want to eat. I'll be fine." "Go." "My good girl," he whispered before following Mr. Vance. I sat alone at a small table, feeling completely out of place, watching the whirlwind of wealth and power around me. From the moment I arrived, Isabel's mood had soured completely. "Isabel, what's wrong?" her mother asked. "I'm just disappointed, Mother." "Disappointed? In what?" "Out of all the men in this company, Ethan Hayes is the only one who seems remotely interesting. And he has a girlfriend. It's such a waste." Eleanor Vance smiled a knowing, patronizing smile. "Darling, is that all? You are an heiress. You have everything. You can find a man 100 times better than some department head. Don't waste your energy on him." Isabel's eyes flickered over to me. "What do you think of her? Do you think she's right for him?" "She's a pretty little thing, I suppose." Isabel scoffed. "She's not worthy of him. She looks so common, so painfully average." "Well, put on a happy face, dear. This is your party." "I know." But she didn't. Instead, she picked up a glass of wine and walked directly to my table. "Hello again." "Hi," I said, trying to sound friendly. And that's when she said it. The words that started it all. She looked me up and down, a look of pure disdain on her face. "You know, for a man with such ambition, his taste in women is remarkably cheap." The words hung in the air between us, sharp and cold. I was so stunned, I could barely process them. "I'm sorry," I stammered. What do you mean by that?" She didn't hesitate. "I mean, Ethan is brilliant. He's handsome. He's going places. And he chooses you. Don't you see how you don't fit? How you don't belong in his world?" Her words were a slap in the face, a cold, hard shock. But I held my ground, my voice quiet but steady. "You just got here. You don't know anything about us. I've been with him for 3 years. I was with him when he had nothing. She laughed, a short, ugly sound. And what does that matter? So you were there for the struggle. So what? You bring him no advantage now. You're not an asset, you're baggage, a weight holding him down. I was speechless. I'd never met anyone so cruel, so openly condescending. She gestured around the room with her wine glass. How are you enjoying all this? You don't get it, do you? This is the world of the wealthy, the world of the powerful. It's our world. What could a common girl like you possibly understand about it? She took a final sip of her wine. Enjoy the free food. I have to go mingle. And just like that, she walked away, leaving me shattered. The party ended. On the car ride home, Ethan sensed my silence. Hey, you okay? You've been quiet all night. I just shook my head. What is it? Did something happen? I couldn't bring myself to tell him. It felt petty. It felt like I was the charity case she'd called me. When we reached my apartment building, he turned off the car. Talk to me, Julia. What's wrong? Nothing, I lied. I'm just a little tired. Can you just hold me for a minute? Without a word, he unbuckled his seatbelt and pulled me into a hug. I buried my face in his chest, breathing in his familiar scent. Her words echoed in my head, making me doubt everything. He held me tighter, stroking my hair. Julia, I love you so much. No matter what happens, I want you to know that my love for you will never change. Just stay by my side, okay? Just like this. His words were a soothing balm on a fresh wound. In his arms, I felt safe again. I felt loved. I love you too, I whispered. We kissed, a long, deep kiss that promised forever. But that night, I couldn't sleep. Her voice kept replaying in my mind. You're not worthy of him. You're baggage. And for the first time, a terrifying thought crept into my heart. What if she was right? The next morning at work, I felt like a ghost. I'd barely slept, tossing and turning, Isabel's words playing on a cruel, endless loop in my head. Chloe took one look at me and set her coffee mug down with a clatter. Whoa, Jules, you look like you wrestled a bear and lost. Rough night? Something like that, I mumbled, trying to force a smile. Let me guess, she said, leaning against my desk with a conspiratorial grin. Mr. Hayes kept you up all night, didn't he? Don't lie to me. I know that look. I shook my head, managing a weak laugh. No, nothing like that. You know my mom. Curfew is curfew, party or no party. Seriously, Julia, it's been 3 years. Tell me you two have. You know. She wiggled her eyebrows suggestively, crossed the finish line. Heat flooded my cheeks. It wasn't something I talked about often. Well, yeah, of course. I knew it, she squealed, clapping her hands together. So? The details. How is he? Amazing, I bet. I nodded, a genuine smile, finally breaking through the gloom as I thought of him. He's amazing. You've got it all? Girl, she sighed wistfully. A boyfriend who's handsome, successful, ambitious, and apparently a god in the bedroom. You're gonna be so damn happy with him. I'm seriously celebrating for you. Thanks, Chloe. But then the memory of the party returned, and my smile faded. The doubt, the insecurity, it all came rushing back. I sighed, a heavy, tired sound. Chloe? I started, my voice barely a whisper. Someone told me that I'm not good enough for him. Chloe's playful demeanor vanished instantly. Her eyes narrowed. Who the hell said that to you? Someone at the party last night. Listen to me, Julia, she said, her voice fierce and protective. She grabbed my chair and spun me around to face her. I've known you for 20 years. I was there when you met Ethan. I saw how you two fell in love. You were by his side when he had nothing, when he was just some kid trying to outrun his family's ghosts. You two have spent 3 years building a life together, sharing everything, the good and the bad, right? Right, but no buts. She cut me off. So how can some stranger who knows nothing about you, about your history, have any idea what they're talking about? The only opinion that matters is Ethan's. So whatever garbage they fed you, you throw it out. You hear me? But I think they might have a point. He's so successful now, and you're just what? Julia, you are incredible. You're kind, you're talented, you're beautiful. Any man would be lucky to have you. Ethan probably had to do some seriously good deeds in a past life to deserve a woman like you. So don't you dare start with this worthy or not worthy crap. Got it? She stared at me until I nodded. Good. Now get back to work before your fiancé finds out you're doubting yourself and gets pissed. Okay, I said, managing a small smile. I will. I tried to work, tried to push the nagging voice out of my head. I focused on Ethan, on his love. He was my motivation, my strength, my everything. As long as I had him, nothing else mattered. But I had no idea that at that very moment, across the city in a glass tower, I had become the target in a game I didn't even know I was playing. Isabel Vance, the beautiful, bored heiress, had found her new favorite prey. During her time in France, she'd developed a reputation. Her love life was a revolving door of conquests, a new man every month. Once she'd set her sights on someone, she would pursue them relentlessly. Charm them, conquer them, is less than #0. 3# is greater than, and then. Once the thrill of the chase was over, she'd discard them without a second thought. And now, she'd set her sights on Ethan. The fact that he was taken, that he belonged to someone else, didn't deter her. In fact, it made the game more exciting. For Isabel, there was no greater thrill than poaching. Taking what belonged to another was the ultimate proof of her power. It was her nature, and I was just the unfortunate obstacle standing in her way. On our first official day of work, the first thing she did was summon Ethan to her new palatial office. You wanted to see me, Miss Vance. I did. And please, call me Isabel. We're going to be colleagues. Sit down. You're free for a bit, aren't you? For a little while. What can I do for you? I was hoping you could give me a tour. Show me around. I want to get a better feel for the company's day-to-day operations. Of course. Follow me. As they walked through the sprawling corporate campus, Isabel constantly tried to create moments of intimacy. She'd brush her arm against his, lean in close to whisper a question, her eyes lingering on his face. But Ethan remained perfectly professional, his focus entirely on explaining workflow charts and departmental structures. He was polite, helpful, and completely oblivious, or perhaps willfully ignorant of her advances. When they returned to her office, she tried a more direct approach. So, Ethan, are you free tonight? Is this work-related, Isabel? Not exactly. A friend of mine owns a new cocktail lounge downtown. I was thinking of checking it out. I'd like you to join me for a few drinks. I'm sorry, but I can't. I have plans tonight. Plans? She asked, a slight edge to her voice. What kind of plans could be more important? I have a dinner date with my girlfriend. A flicker of annoyance crossed her face. Ah, yes. Your girlfriend. She looked him up and down, a smirk playing on her lips. I have to be honest. I was surprised. A man like you? I thought your standards would be higher. Ethan's friendly demeanor vanished. His posture stiffened. Excuse me? She's very plain, isn't she? So ordinary. It just seems like a poor match. Your taste is disappointing. Ethan looked at her, his eyes cold. She might seem ordinary to you, but to me, she's a queen. Now, if there's nothing else, I have work to do. He turned and walked out, leaving her standing there. Isabel's jaw tightened. She watched him go, a strange mix of fury and fascination swirling inside her. He was the first man to ever turn her down so bluntly, to ever defend another woman to her face. Interesting, she thought, a slow, dangerous smile spreading across her lips. He's got principles. I want him, and I'm going to have him. That evening, Ethan came over for dinner. My mom had made his favorite, a rich, homemade lasagna. The three of us sat crowded around our small kitchen table, laughing and talking. Ethan, dear, have some more, my mom insisted, piling another slice onto his plate. Mrs. Miller, you're going to make me fat, he laughed. Nonsense. A man needs his strength, especially with the wedding coming up. You'll be eating my cooking every day soon enough. That, he said, looking at me with a warm, loving smile, is the best part of the deal. Seeing him there, so happy, so at home with my mom and me, I felt a wave of peace wash over me. This was real. This little apartment, this simple meal, this unconditional love. This was our family. And it was everything. Meanwhile, Isabel was sitting in a chic, dimly lit cocktail lounge with her best friend, Madison. She swirled the dark liquor in her glass, her mind miles away. Earth to Isabel, Madison said, snapping her fingers. You've been staring into space for 10 minutes. What's going on in that beautiful, twisted head of yours? It's a man, Maddie. What else is it ever about? Oh, God, not another one. Let me guess, the handsome Italian model from the yacht party last summer. No, Isabel said, her voice unusually serious. This is different. I don't know how to explain it. I can't stop thinking about him. Even now, sitting here with you, my mind is on him. It was like a lightning strike. Madison's perfectly shaped eyebrows shot up. Wow, that's a new one. I've never seen you like this. So, what's the problem? Go for it. What man in his right mind would ever say no to you? They'd consider it a damn honor. That's the thing, Isabel muttered, taking a large gulp of her drink. He's different. He's not interested. Not interested? Impossible. He has a girlfriend. You saw her at my party. The plain one in the white dress. Madison's eyes widened in recognition. Wait, you're talking about that guy from your dad's company? The one who's been climbing the ladder? Ethan, maybe. I've heard things, Madison said, leaning forward. He's brilliant. Your parents trust him completely. And yeah, he's definitely easy on the eyes. Good taste. The men I like are never ordinary, Isabel said defensively. It's just, he's already taken. Madison laughed, a cynical, knowing sound. So what if he has a girlfriend? Since when has that ever stopped you? You're my best friend, Izzy, and I know you. That just makes you want him more. A slow, predatory smile returned to Isabel's face. You know me so well. Look, this is what you do. You see something you want, and you take it. Why are you even hesitating? You're right, Isabel said, her resolve hardening. You're absolutely right. Just wait, you'll see. She raised her glass. To the hunt. Madison clinked her glass against Isabel's. To the hunt. That night, Isabel went home, drunk and determined. She pulled out her phone and sent a text to Ethan. Meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m. We're doing a site survey at the new development project. Ethan, who was at his desk reviewing spreadsheets, saw the message pop up. He replied with a single, professional word. Okay. Isabel stared at her phone, waiting. When the reply came, she snatched the phone up. She saw the one-word response, and her face contorted with rage. Okay? That's it? He just replies with, okay? She seethed, throwing her phone across the room. Dozens of men would kill for a text from me, and he gives me one word? I offered him a chance, and he just threw it away. She stalked across her bedroom, furious. Fine, you want to play hard to get, Ethan Hayes? We'll see how long that lasts. I'll have you on your knees before I'm done with you. In the days that followed, she was relentless. She manufactured reasons to call him to her office, to consult with him on projects that had nothing to do with his department. Ethan, I need your input on these marketing proposals. He sat down, and she brought the file over, deliberately brushing against him, her perfume lingering in the air. He remained unfazed, his focus entirely on the papers in front of him. His indifference was maddening. Ethan, she said, her voice dropping to a seductive purr. Do you hate me that much? He looked up, surprised. Hate you? Of course not, Isabel. Why would you say that? Because I feel like you're avoiding me. I'm not avoiding you. I'm just trying to be professional. I don't want people in the office to get the wrong idea about us. And what if? She said, stepping closer. I want them to get the right idea. She saw the flicker of understanding in his eyes. What if I told you that I'm interested in you? She said, her voice a low whisper. Right from that first moment in the elevator, these past few days, finding excuses to see you. It wasn't an accident. What do you think about that? He was momentarily stunned. He'd suspected, of course, but hearing her say it so plainly was a shock. Isabel, you're joking. I never joke about my feelings. He stood up, putting a respectful distance between them. Isabel, I appreciate the sentiment, truly. But like I told you, I have a girlfriend, a woman I love very much. Someone as perfect as you will have no trouble finding a man who is a much better fit. Someone better than me in every way. But I don't want someone better, she insisted, her voice laced with frustration. I want you. She reached out and placed her hand on his thigh. He immediately, but gently, removed it and stood up. I have to go. There's work I need to attend to. Wait, she called out as he headed for the door. We're not finished talking about this. But he didn't reply. He just walked out, leaving her standing there, alone and seething. Ethan's mind was in turmoil, but his heart was clear. There was only Julia. He had never once thought of betraying her. For him, Julia was the one, the woman he wanted to marry, to build a life with. He worked hard every single day so he could give her everything. In his 3 years at Orion, other women had shown interest, but he'd always shut it down immediately. He wasn't that kind of man. He loved Julia, and he respected her. He had never, not once, done anything to betray her trust. As for Isabel, after being so bluntly rejected, she was beyond furious. For the first time in her life, she'd been told no. Who the hell does he think he is? She fumed, pacing her office like a caged animal. Rejecting me? Me? That afternoon, her frustration boiled over. She became more determined than ever. If I can't have you, Ethan Hayes, she vowed to herself, I will simply take you. Just you wait. You will be mine. Isabel stormed home that evening, her mood as black as the thunderclouds gathering over the city. Her mother, Eleanor, saw the scowl on her face the moment she walked in. Isabel, what's wrong now? You look miserable. It's nothing, Mother. Don't lie to me. You've been in a foul mood for days. And you're always hovering around that young man, Ethan. Don't tell me you've actually developed feelings for him." Isabel's facade crumbled. "Yes," she admitted, her voice tight with frustration. "I like him." Eleanor's perfectly arched eyebrows shot up in disbelief. She let out an exasperated sigh. "Isabel, you know he has a girlfriend. He told you himself he's getting married at the end of the year. What are you thinking, fixating on him like this?" "I don't know what I'm thinking," Isabel snapped back, "but I know I want him. He has a girlfriend. For heaven's sake, don't waste your time on such a pointless endeavor. It's beneath you." "So, what if he does?" Isabel retorted, her eyes flashing with defiance. "If I can't have him fairly, I'll take him. I'll do whatever it takes." "Isabel, you're being ridiculous. This isn't worth it." A bitter, knowing smile twisted Isabel's lips. "Isn't it, Mother? Or are you forgetting how you got Dad? He was with another woman, wasn't he? A woman who was your friend, and they already had a child together. But that didn't stop you, did it? You took him anyway." "I'm just following in my mother's footsteps." The color drained from Eleanor's face. The accusation, so blunt and true, struck her like a physical blow. She was speechless. She watched her daughter, a mirror of her own youthful stubbornness and ruthless ambition, and a deep, unsettling fear took root in her heart. She had no words of counsel, no moral high ground to stand on. Eleanor retreated to her bedroom, the ghosts of her past swirling around her. It was all true. 26 years ago, she and Harrison Vance had worked at the same company. She had been infatuated with him from the moment she saw him. Handsome, brilliant, destined for greatness. But he was with someone else, a woman named Olivia, who was not only his partner but also Eleanor's closest friend. And Olivia was pregnant with Harrison's child. Driven by a desperate, all-consuming obsession, Eleanor had systematically destroyed their relationship. She'd used every dirty trick, every lie, every manipulation in her arsenal until she had driven a wedge between them and claimed Harrison for herself. She had won. She had gotten the man, the wealth, the life of luxury. But the victory had been hollow. For 26 years, she had been haunted by what she'd done, haunted by nightmares of Olivia returning with Harrison's son to reclaim everything she had stolen. And now, watching her own daughter walk the same treacherous path, Eleanor felt a chilling sense of dread. The apple, it seemed, had not fallen far from the poisoned tree. Over the next 2 weeks, Isabel's campaign to seduce Ethan escalated, but he remained steadfastly loyal to me. Her charms, her flirtations, her thinly veiled invitations, they all bounced off him. So, she shifted her strategy. She knew that every man had a weakness, and she suspected Ethan's was ambition. He was a man who had fought his way out of poverty, who had seen his family destroyed by it. He was haunted by the ghosts of a destitute past, a past so bleak he had once contemplated ending his own life. His hunger for success, for security, for the kind of wealth that would forever insulate him from that pain, was a deep, driving force. It was his Achilles heel, and Isabel knew just how to exploit it. But first, she decided to deal with me. If she couldn't win him over, she would simply remove the competition. It was laughably easy for someone like her to find out where I worked. That afternoon, she swept into our small agency like a queen visiting the provinces, her designer heels clicking imperiously on our humble linoleum floors. "I'm here to see Julia Miller," she announced to the room at large. "Tell her to come out here." Now, Chloe, ever the gatekeeper, stepped forward. "And you are?" "Isabel Vance, from Orion Global." "Now, are you going to get her?" or do I have to find her myself? She's busy. You can wait over there, Chloe said, gesturing to a worn-out chair in the corner. Isabel scoffed. My time is more valuable than this entire building. I don't have time to wait for the likes of you. Chloe's eyes narrowed. Then you're free to leave. No one's forcing you to stay. How dare you speak to me like that? Do you have any idea who I am? Frankly, I don't care who you are. Your title doesn't mean a thing in here. We're all just people trying to get through the day. You little. Do you know that I could have this entire pathetic little company shut down with a single phone call? Go ahead and try, Chloe challenged, not backing down an inch. But I should warn you, we have a pretty active social media team. A story about a spoiled heiress bullying a small business might just go viral. The whole world would love to hear about it. You wouldn't dare. The commotion brought me out of my office. Chloe, what's going on? Oh, look who it is, Chloe said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. The Princess of Orion Global is here to see you. I looked at Isabel, my stomach tightening into a knot. Chloe, it's okay. Go back to your desk. I'll handle this. You sure, Jules? She seems a little unhinged. I'm sure. I led Isabel to a small meeting room and offered her a glass of water, which she ignored. What are you doing here? I asked, my voice trembling slightly. I'm not one for beating around the bush, she said, her tone cold and clinical. I want Ethan. Step aside. I stared at her, shocked by her audacity. I'm sorry, but I can't do that. Let's not make this more difficult than it needs to be, she continued, as if I hadn't spoken. I know about your situation, you and your mother, living in that rundown apartment in that awful neighborhood. I'm prepared to offer you a substantial sum of money. Enough to buy a new house, to live comfortably. All you have to do is disappear from his life. I don't want your money, I said, my voice gaining strength. Ethan is priceless to me. You can't buy him. She looked at me with a mixture of pity and disgust. You're a fool. You don't want a better life? You enjoy being poor? I'd rather be poor than sell the man I love. $5 million. My breath caught in my throat. 10 million, she said, her eyes glinting. I told you, I said, my voice shaking with a mixture of anger and disbelief. He's not for sale. You are the stupidest woman I have ever met, she spat, her composure finally cracking. Maybe I am. Her expression hardened. Fine, have it your way. But let me make one thing clear. I will take him from you. I will destroy whatever little life you think you have. You just get ready. You're pathetic, I shot back, my own anger flaring. Someone as beautiful and privileged as you. Why are you so obsessed with taking something that isn't yours? Because I can, she said, a cruel smile spreading across her face. Because I enjoy it. The thrill of the chase. The victory of taking what belongs to someone else. It's a rush. It's exciting. My hands clenched into fists at my sides. I will never let you take him from me, she laughed, a cold, humorless sound. With your pathetic, common girl skills, you're not even in my league. You can't compete with me. She stood up, smoothing down her silk dress. I can give Ethan everything. The world. What can you give him? Besides being a constant reminder of the poverty he came from. Think about that. She walked out, leaving me trembling in her wake. I felt like I was going to be sick. A war had been declared, and I was completely outgunned. Just then, my phone rang. It was Ethan. Hey, baby. Tough day at work? His voice was like a lifeline. Yeah, a little. Are you busy tonight? I need to see you. I was going to be late, but I'll make time. My car's in the shop. Can you pick me up? Of course, he said, his voice warm and reassuring. I'll be there as soon as I can. Just hearing him, knowing he was coming, was enough to calm the storm inside me. I sat at my desk, waiting for him, a small smile finally returning to my face. Chloe poked her head in. You heading out? Ethan's picking me up. My car broke down this morning. Ooh, a personal chauffeur. Lucky you. Well, I'm out of here. See you tomorrow. I waited and waited. 7 o'clock came and went. Then 8. I tried calling him, but it went straight to voicemail. At his office, Isabel had found one last, critical task that required his immediate attention, piling a mountain of paperwork on his desk. It's a crisis, Ethan. I need these reports finalized by morning. It was after 8:30 by the time he was finally free. He pulled out his phone and saw my missed calls and a single text message. Don't worry about me. I'm heading home now. Dejected, I decided to walk. The cool night air felt good on my flushed cheeks. I was so lost in my thoughts, replaying Isabel's threats over and over, that I didn't notice the man on the motorcycle until he was right beside me. In a flash, he snatched my purse and sped off. The force of the pull sent me sprawling onto the pavement. Hey! Stop! Thief! I screamed, my voice cracking. Suddenly, another motorcycle, a powerful-looking black bike, roared past me in pursuit of the thief. It happened so fast I barely registered it. 5 minutes later, the second motorcycle returned. The rider, a tall man in a leather jacket, dismounted and held out my purse. You okay? He asked, his voice a low, calm rumble. I think so. Thank you so much. Here, he said, handing me the purse. Check and make sure everything's still there. Thank you. I can't believe you got it back. No problem. You should be more careful, though. Lots of opportunistic jerks out there. I will be. Thank you again. I opened my purse to check its contents. Wallet, keys. But my phone was gone. My phone, I said, a wave of panic washing over me. It's not here. I looked up at him, a sudden, ugly suspicion blooming in my mind. The phone was brand new. A birthday gift from Ethan just last month. Are you sure you didn't take it? I asked, my voice accusing. The man's friendly expression hardened. Are you serious? You think I stole your phone? Well, who else could it have been? Lady, I just chased down a thief for you. I risked getting into an accident to get your bag back. And this is the thanks I get? You accusing me of being a criminal? Desperate people do desperate things, I retorted, my mind clouded by panic and the stress of the day. Give me back my phone. I don't have your damn phone, he said, his voice tight with frustration. You don't believe me? Fine, search me. I didn't hesitate. I patted down his jacket, his jeans, nothing. He looked at me with sheer disappointment. See? Satisfied? He shook his head in disgust, got back on his bike, and rode off without another word. I felt a pang of guilt, but the loss of the phone, Ethan's gift, overshadowed everything else. I walked the rest of the way home, defeated. Just as I reached my front door, Ethan's car pulled up. Julia, oh my God, I've been trying to call you. Where's your phone? It's gone, I said, my voice flat. Someone stole my purse. I got the purse back, but the phone's gone. What? Are you okay? Are you hurt? I'm fine. Don't worry, he said, pulling me into a hug. We'll get you a new one tomorrow. I'm so sorry, baby. I got held up at work with an emergency. I should have been there to pick you up. This is my fault. It's not your fault, I said, leaning into him. I didn't tell him about Isabel. I didn't want to burden him. He worked so hard already. The next morning, I arrived at work and saw it sitting on my desk, right where I'd left it. My phone. A wave of nausea washed over me. I hadn't lost it. I'd left it here, and I had accused that kind stranger, that man who had helped me, of being a thief. Oh God, I whispered, burying my face in my hands. What have I done? Chloe walked in. What's wrong, Jules? You look like you've seen a ghost. I made a huge mistake, Chloe, I groaned. A terrible, terrible mistake. I was so stupid. How can I fix this? But I had no way of finding him, no way to apologize. The weight of my own foolishness, my own unfair judgment, settled heavily on my shoulders, just another burden to carry in a world that was suddenly feeling very, very heavy. The following weeks were a master class in psychological warfare, executed with chilling precision by Isabel. The more Ethan tried to maintain a professional distance, the more obsessed she became. She manufactured crises, scheduled late-night meetings, and created a constant stream of urgent issues that only he could solve. Ethan found himself increasingly trapped, navigating a minefield where his boss's daughter was both his superior and his predator. Her infatuation was suffocating, blurring the lines between work and harassment. One night, she took it a step further. She went out, drank herself into a stupor, and called him from the bar. Ethan, you have to come get me. I'm not well. He sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. He couldn't just leave her there. She was still his boss's daughter. It was a professional obligation, a dangerous one, but one he felt he couldn't refuse. He drove to the bar, found her slumped over a table, and helped her out to his car. The moment she was in the passenger seat, she clung to him, her words slurring, her breath thick with expensive whiskey. Ethan Hayes. You heartless bastard, she mumbled, her head lolling on his shoulder. I like you so much. Why don't you see me? Why do you ignore me? Her voice broke. I want you. Don't you get it? I want your body. I want to sleep with you. You're drunk, Isabel. Let's just get you home. I love you, Ethan, she whispered into the silence of the car. I love you so much. He didn't respond. He just drove, his jaw tight, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. He helped her out of the car at the Vance mansion, practically carrying her to the front door. As he did, the door swung open, and he was met with the icy glare of Eleanor Vance. What is the meaning of this? She demanded, her eyes like chips of ice. Mrs. Vance, Isabel was. She drank too much. I was just bringing her home safely. Don't you play innocent with me, Eleanor hissed, her voice low and menacing. I know exactly what you're trying to do. I'm warning you, stay away from my daughter. If you think you can use her to climb the ladder, you have another thing coming. I will not let you harm her. That's a misunderstanding, ma'am. I was just trying to help. Enough, she snapped. Don't say another word. Get out of my house. And remember this, you are not worthy of my daughter. You never will be. Ethan stood there, stunned and furious. He was being accused of the very thing he'd been trying to avoid. Her daughter was the one relentlessly pursuing him, and yet he was the one being threatened, insulted. The injustice of it all burned in his gut. He turned and walked away, Eleanor's words echoing in his ears. You are not worthy. As he drove home, a cold fury began to build inside him. The insult, the condescension. It was a stark reminder of where he came from, of how people like the Vances would always see him, just another piece of dirt trying to climb out of the gutter. The painful memories of his past came flooding back, the shame, the hunger, the desperation. And in that moment, A dangerous seed of resentment took root. They look down on me, he thought, his hands gripping the steering wheel. Fine. I'll go so high they'll have to crane their necks to even see me. I will not let anyone, ever, have the power to humiliate me again. The sleepless night fueled a dark ambition he hadn't felt in years. Isabel, meanwhile, had her own plans. The next morning, she went to her father's office, her demeanor one of sweet, filial devotion. She played her part perfectly, the dutiful daughter, concerned only with the family business. And then she made her move. "Daddy," she said, her voice laced with manufactured concern. "There's something I need to talk to you about. It's about the future of the company." She praised Ethan's work, his talent, his ambition, and then she dropped the bomb. I think I'm in love with him." Harrison Vance, who adored his daughter above all else, saw only her happiness. He trusted Ethan's capabilities implicitly. In his mind, a union between his brilliant protege and his beloved daughter was the perfect succession plan. He called Ethan into his office. "Ethan, my boy, sit down. Mr. Vance, is everything all right?" "I'm going to be direct with you," Harrison said, his tone serious. "You know I only have one daughter. She is my entire world. Everything I've built, this entire company, will one day be hers. And Ethan, she's taken a liking to you. A very serious liking." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "I trust you, son, more than anyone else in this company. I want you to help my daughter lead this corporation into the future. I want you to be by her side." Ethan was silent, his mind racing. "I know you have a girlfriend," Harrison continued, his voice softening. "And I'm not asking you to be dishonorable, but I am asking you to think very carefully. If you choose my daughter, if you promise to love her and take care of her for the rest of her life, then everything I have will one day belong to the two of you. If you choose to stay with your current girlfriend, I won't hold it against you, but I want you to understand the magnitude of the choice you're making." Ethan nodded slowly. "Thank you for your trust, Mr. Vance. I will think about what you've said." "Good. I'll be waiting for your answer." Ethan walked out of the office in a daze. The offer hung in the air, shimmering and seductive. Billions of dollars, a corporate empire, power beyond his wildest dreams. All he had to do was say yes. $1 billion fortune. Half of it would be mine. I could live my entire life on a mountain of money. All the work, all the struggle. I could never earn that much in 1,000 lifetimes. The temptation was a physical thing, a heavy weight in his chest. The boy who had starved, the boy who had been humiliated, the boy who had sworn to never be powerless again, was being offered the keys to the kingdom. For the first time, his loyalty to me wavered. He began to see me not as his queen, but as the anchor holding him to a world of simplicity and decency. He was now being offered a chance to escape. The next day, Isabel came to his office. "Ethan," she said, closing the door behind her. I was drunk last night. Did I say anything embarrassing?" "You said a few things," he replied, his tone unreadable. "Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I don't remember a thing. Whatever I said, please just forget it." "It's fine, Isabel. Don't worry about it. But I have to say," she continued, her voice becoming serious as she walked toward him, "even when I'm drunk, the things I say, they're true. You know, I have feelings for you, Ethan." She moved closer, her eyes locked on his. "What are you doing, Isabel?" he asked, his voice a low warning. "I'm going to kiss you." She backed him against the wall, her body pressing against his. "A week ago, he would have pushed her away without a second thought. But now all he could see were dollar signs, billions of them. He stood frozen, not resisting. As she leaned in, he pictured the life he could have, the power, the respect, and in that moment of weakness, he saw her not as Isabel Vance, but as the embodiment of everything he had ever craved. He gave in. He wrapped his arms around her, pulling her close, and their lips met in a hungry, desperate kiss. It wasn't about love or even passion. It was a transaction, a sealing of a deal. He pushed her back onto the large leather sofa in his office, his hands tangling in her hair. She smiled up at him, a triumphant, predatory glint in her eyes. She had won. There's a saying that some things can't be bought with money, but they can be bought with a lot of money. And Ethan, the boy who had sworn to conquer the world, had just sold his soul. Harrison Vance, a master manipulator in his own right, had dangled the perfect bait, and his ambitious, hungry protege had taken it without a second thought. That night, Ethan lay awake in his condo, his mind a battlefield. On one side was me, our 3 years of love, of shared struggles and simple joys. On the other was Isabel, and the promise of a life so far beyond anything he had ever imagined. Love versus ambition. Julia versus $1 billion empire. By morning, the battle was over. Ambition had won. He picked up his phone and sent a text to Isabel. "I'm in. Let's do this." Isabel read the message and let out a triumphant shriek. She had won. It was always her destiny to win. That same morning, miles away, in my little apartment, I woke up feeling dizzy and nauseous. I ran to the bathroom, retching, but nothing came up. My mom heard the noise and came to the door. "Julia, honey, are you all right?" "I don't know, Mom. I just feel sick." She looked at me, a sudden thought dawning in her eyes. "Julia, when was your last period?" I froze. I did a quick mental calculation. My eyes widened in shock. I was 2 months late. "Oh my God," I whispered, my hand flying to my mouth. Could I be? I ran to the pharmacy, my heart pounding in my chest. I bought 3 different brands of pregnancy tests. Back in our little bathroom, I watched in stunned silence as one by one, they all showed the same result. 2 solid, unwavering pink lines. "Mom!" I screamed, bursting out of the bathroom, the tests clutched in my hand. "Mom, I'm pregnant." Her face broke into a radiant smile. "Oh, my baby. That's wonderful. Call Ethan. Tell him the good news. We need to move the wedding up before you start showing." "I will," I said, my heart soaring with a joy so pure and overwhelming it brought tears to my eyes. I grabbed my phone, my fingers fumbling with excitement as I dialed his number. "Ethan, it's me." "Julia, what's wrong? You're calling so early." "Ethan," I said, my voice trembling with happiness. "I'm pregnant. We're going to have a baby." The line went silent. For a long, terrifying moment, all I could hear was the sound of my own frantic heartbeat. "Ethan, are you there?" "Yeah," he finally said, his voice sounding distant and strange. "I'm here, pregnant." "Wow, are you sure?" "Yes. 3 tests, all positive." "Can you come with me to the doctor's this morning for the first appointment?" "Yeah," he said again, his voice flat and emotionless. "Yeah, I'll be there." He hung up. He sat on the edge of his bed, the phone slipping from his hand. He felt like he'd been punched in the gut. A month ago, this would have been the happiest news of his life. But now it was a complication. A terrible, messy complication. He was on the verge of having everything he'd ever wanted. And now this. How could he break up with me now? The timing was a cruel joke played by the universe. But if he didn't, that billion-dollar future would slip through his fingers. He knew with a sickening certainty that he had to end it, but he still went with me to the doctor. He sat beside me in the darkened room, watching the grainy black and white image on the screen. He heard the faint, rapid thump, thump, thump of our baby's heartbeat, and for a fleeting moment, he felt a pang of something real, a flicker of love, of paternal instinct. He thought, maybe I should just give it all up. Just be with Julia, with our child, live a normal, happy life. And then his phone buzzed. A text from Isabel. Where are you? My dad wants to make you COO of the new tech subsidiary. Get to the office. Now. Chief Operating Officer. The dream, the ambition, the hunger. It all came roaring back, drowning out the tiny heartbeat. He looked at the screen one last time, a flicker of regret in his eyes, and then his face hardened. He had made his choice. He drove me home, his mind already spinning, calculating, planning his next move. And so, Ethan Hayes, the man who had promised to love and protect me forever, began to weave a web of lies. That night, he texted me, all warmth and affection. Eat well for the baby. Get lots of rest. I love you both so much. The next day, he and Isabel publicly announced their relationship at the office. The news spread like wildfire. A friend of Chloe's who worked at Orion called her immediately, and Chloe, her face pale with shock and fury, had to tell me. I didn't believe it. I couldn't. I called him again and again, but he didn't answer. I went to his office, my heart hammering against my ribs. Ethan, I said, standing in his doorway. People are saying, they're saying you and Isabel Vance are together. Is it true? He looked at me, and for the first time, I saw him lie. He composed his features into a mask of innocent confusion. What? Who told you that nonsense? Of course not. Isabel and I are just colleagues. You can't believe every stupid rumor you hear. And because I loved him, because I trusted him, because the alternative was too monstrous to comprehend, I believed him. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. Okay, I said, relief washing over me. I'm sorry. I had to hear it from you. It's okay, he said, forcing a smile. Now, you should go home and rest. For the baby. I left, feeling foolish but reassured. That evening, I was at the grocery store, picking up ingredients for dinner, when I saw him, the man from the motorcycle. The man I had falsely accused of stealing my phone. The moment he saw me, his face soured, and he turned to walk away. I ran after him. Sir, wait, please. He stopped, turning to face me with a wary expression. What do you want? I am so sorry, I blurted out. About the other night, I was wrong. I was completely out of line. I found my phone. I'd left it at my office. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just so stressed and I took it out on you. I am truly, deeply sorry. Please, forgive me. His hard expression softened slightly. He let out a slow breath. Okay, he said finally. Apology accepted. Just try to think before you accuse someone of being a thief next time. All right? I will, I promised. Thank you. A small smile touched my lips. I'm Julia, by the way. He smiled back. A genuine, warm smile that transformed his face. Alexander. Nice to properly meet you, Julia. You too. Do you live around here? Yeah, over on 173rd Street. No way. I'm on 163rd. We're practically neighbors. Small world, Listen, I said, feeling bold. To make up for being such a jerk, can I buy you dinner sometime? As a proper thank you for getting my purse back. He considered for a moment, then nodded. Yeah, okay, I'd like that. We exchanged numbers. We walked home together, falling into an easy, comfortable conversation. I even invited him to come over for dinner sometime, and he promised he would. As he walked away, I felt a lightness I hadn't felt in weeks. Little did I know that Alexander, the kind stranger I had just met, was the son of Harrison Vance, the secret, long-lost son his mother had taken with her when she fled from Eleanor's cruelty 26 years ago. He was the ghost that haunted Eleanor's nightmares, the rightful heir to the Orion fortune, and he was about to walk right back into the center of all our lives. When Alexander got home, he found his mother, Olivia, sitting in the dark, lost in thought. "Mom," he said gently, switching on a lamp. "You okay? You're thinking about the past again, aren't you?" Olivia looked up, her eyes filled with a distant sadness. "Oh, Alexander, you're home. Don't lie to me, Mom. I know that look. Are you still angry with me?" "Angry? Why would I be angry with you, my love?" "For wanting to find him," he said quietly. "My father. Even though he's so close, you won't let me see him." She reached out and took his hand, her grip surprisingly strong. "I'm not angry with you, darling. I could never be. I'm just afraid. I'm afraid for you. If Eleanor knew you were here, she would find a way to hurt you, just like she hurt me all those years ago. So please, for my sake, let him go. Forget you have a father." Alexander nodded, not wanting to upset her further. But in his heart, he couldn't let it go. He yearned to meet the man whose blood ran in his veins, the father he'd only known through his mother's faded photographs and sorrowful stories. He was Harrison Vance's son, a prince in exile, living a quiet, ordinary life just a few miles from his father's kingdom. For 26 years, Olivia had lived with the trauma of Eleanor's betrayal, a wound that had never truly healed. She had been robbed of her love, her future, and her son's birthright. She and Alexander had built a peaceful life for themselves, but the shadow of the past was long and dark, an ever-present ghost in their small, quiet home. Meanwhile, Ethan was plotting. After a week of agonizing, of weighing his options, he had devised what he believed to be the perfect plan. He knew he couldn't just break up with me, not now that I was pregnant. The optics would be terrible. He would be seen as a monster, a man who abandoned his pregnant girlfriend for the boss's daughter. It could damage his reputation, the very thing he was trying to build. So, he decided to play both sides. He became the perfect, doting boyfriend to two different women. He told Isabel he needed to go out of town for a few days for a market research trip. Then, he came to me, his eyes full of love and excitement. "Julia, pack a bag. We're going on a trip." "A trip? Where are we going?" "To the coast, to that little beach town we love. Just the three of us." I was thrilled. A romantic getaway. It felt like a reaffirmation of his love, a sign that everything was going to be okay. I was so naive. I had no idea that this trip was a one-way ticket. For 3 days, he was the man I had first fallen in love with. He was attentive, loving, and endlessly affectionate. We walked on the beach, ate at our favorite little seafood shack, and talked for hours about the future, about our baby. He knew this would be the last time we were together, and so he put on the performance of a lifetime, a final, tender act of love before the ultimate betrayal. He held my hand, looked deep into my eyes, and swore he would be by my side, by our child's side, for the rest of our lives. "Julia," he said, his voice thick with emotion as we watched the sunset. "I love you. No matter what happens, I want you to remember that. I will always love you. I'll always love you too, Ethan." We kissed, the salty air whipping around us. On the third day, he presented me with a large, beautifully wrapped box. "For you, my love." I opened it, my hands trembling with anticipation. Inside, nestled in layers of white tissue paper, was a wedding dress. Simple, elegant, perfect. "A wedding dress?" I whispered, tears springing to my eyes. "It's the one you deserve," he said softly. Then he got down on one knee, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. He opened it to reveal a simple, beautiful diamond ring. "Julia Miller," he said, his voice shaking. "Will you marry me?" Between the dress and the ring and the overwhelming love I felt for him, I was completely overcome. This was everything I had ever dreamed of. "Yes," I sobbed, laughing through my tears. "Yes, of course, yes." He slid the ring onto my finger. "My wife," he whispered, kissing my hand. "From now on, you're my wife, and I love you more than anything in this world." I felt like the luckiest woman alive. I was so blinded by my love, so lost in my happiness, that I couldn't see the truth. I couldn't see that this perfect, beautiful moment was nothing but a carefully constructed stage, the final scene in his dark and twisted play. He told me to put on the dress. He said he wanted to take pictures, to capture the moment. We walked along the shore, hand in hand, him snapping photos of me, the white dress trailing in the sand. He led me out to a rocky outcrop, a small, isolated peninsula that jutted out into the sea. I felt a prickle of unease. The rocks were jagged and uneven, and there were no railings. But he was so enthusiastic, so happy, that I followed him without question. "You stand over there, my love," he said, positioning me a few feet from the edge. "I'll get a shot with the ocean in the background. It'll be perfect. Ethan, it's a little scary out here. Come stand with me. Just one picture, I promise. Then I'll come right over." I smiled and posed as he held up his phone. "Okay, got it. One more." He held up the phone again. He spread his arms wide, a big, theatrical gesture. And then he pretended to stumble. He let out a cry and fell backward, landing hard on the rocks. "Ethan!" I cried out, my heart leaping into my throat. Without a second thought, I rushed toward him. It was exactly what he'd planned. The rocks were slick with sea spray. My foot slipped. I lost my balance, and with a scream, I tumbled over the edge of the cliff. My fingers scrabbled for a hold, finding a small, sharp ledge of rock. I dangled there, my body suspended over the churning, gray waves below. The weight of the heavy dress pulled me down, my muscles screaming in protest. "Ethan!" I screamed, my voice raw with terror. "Help me! Please, help me!" He scrambled to the edge, his face a mask of theatrical panic. "Julia! Oh my God, Julia! Hold on. Pull me up. Please, pull me up. I'm trying. Just hold on tight. I'm right here." He reached down, his fingers just inches from mine. He could have grabbed my hand. He could have saved me, but he didn't. He just kept reaching, always just out of reach, his face a perfect picture of feigned desperation. He was just running out the clock. I held on for as long as I could, but my fingers were slipping. My strength was gone. I can't hold on anymore. I cried, my voice choked with tears, and then my grip failed. I fell. The last thing I saw was his face, looking down at me, not with horror, but with something that looked chillingly like relief. As I plunged into the icy water, I heard his voice, a final, gut-wrenching cry. Julia. It was the most convincing performance of his life. He watched as I disappeared beneath the waves. For a moment, a flicker of genuine pain crossed his face. A tear traced a path down his cheek. Then he composed himself, stood up, and ran, screaming for help. By the time the police and the rescue teams arrived, I was long gone. They searched for hours, but found nothing. Ethan sat on the shore, a broken man, his head in his hands, sobbing uncontrollably. The onlookers, the police, the paramedics, they all saw a grieving fiancé who had just lost the love of his life and his unborn child in a tragic accident. They offered him blankets, cups of tea, words of comfort. "It's a terrible tragedy," one of them murmured. They were taking wedding photos. She was pregnant. You know, poor guy, to lose everything in an instant like that. Ethan played his part to perfection, his cries of anguish echoing across the water. "Julia, why did you leave me? How am I supposed to live without you?" But I wasn't dead. The impact with the water had knocked me unconscious, my head striking a submerged rock. I was battered, broken, my face a mess of blood and torn flesh. The current carried me away, a limp, broken doll in a white dress, until by some miracle, it deposited me on a deserted stretch of sandy beach several miles down the coast. It was on that beach that Alexander found me. He was visiting his aunt, who lived in the area and had gone for his usual morning walk along the shore. He saw a flash of white against the sand and went to investigate. As he got closer, a bloodied hand reached out and grabbed his ankle. He jumped back, startled. He looked down and saw a woman, her face so swollen and mangled she was barely recognizable, her eyes pleading, "Please." I croaked, my voice a raw whisper, "Help me." "Oh my God, what happened to you?" He pulled out his phone to call for an ambulance. "No," I managed to say, my voice desperate. "No police. If he knows I'm alive, he'll kill me. For real this time." Who will kill you?" "Alexander," I whispered, my vision fading in and out. "It's me. Julia, help me, please." He stared at me, his eyes wide with disbelief. He knelt down, peering at my ruined face. "Julia, from 163rd Street. Is it really you?" "Yes," I whispered, just before I lost consciousness. "Help me." He didn't hesitate. He gently lifted me into his arms, carried me to his car, and drove. Not to a hospital, but back to the city, back to his apartment, where he knew he could keep me safe. He called a trusted friend, a brilliant doctor, and begged him to come. No questions asked. "My friend," the doctor said grimly after examining me. "Her condition is stable, but her face is severely damaged. She'll need extensive reconstructive surgery. And I'm sorry, but I couldn't save the baby. The trauma was too severe." Alexander sat by my bedside, watching me, my body wrapped in bandages. He didn't know my story, but he knew I was in terrible danger. He had become my unwitting savior, my guardian angel in a leather jacket. When I finally woke up, the first thing I felt was a crushing, all-consuming pain. My body, my head, my heart. I was a broken thing. Alexander was there, holding a glass of water, his face etched with worry. He calmed me down, gave me pain medication, and when I was finally lucid, he asked me what had happened. And so, through a haze of grief and painkillers, I told him everything. The beautiful love story, the cruel betrayal, the wedding dress, the cliff, the fall. I told him about Ethan's ambition, about Isabel's threats, about the perfect, monstrous plan to erase me from his life so he could step into a new one. When I finished, Alexander just sat there, silent, his expression a mixture of pity and cold, hard fury. "You're saying," he said, his voice dangerously quiet, "that Ethan Hayes, the future son-in-law of Harrison Vance, tried to murder you so he could marry my half-sister?" "Half-sister?" I asked, confused. "Isabel Vance," he said, his jaw tight. "She's my father's daughter." And in that moment, all the pieces clicked into place. The universe wasn't just cruel, it was playing a sick, elaborate joke. "He needs to pay," I whispered, a new, unfamiliar feeling taking root in the ashes of my grief. It was a cold, hard stone of rage. I trusted him. I loved him, and he tried to kill me and our baby. He can't get away with this. I looked at Alexander, my eyes pleading. "You said you wanted to help me. Help me make him pay. Please." He looked at me, at the broken woman in the bed, and he saw not just a victim, but a survivor. And he made a decision. "Okay, Julia," he said, his voice firm. "I'll help you." 3 months later, it was the society wedding of the year. Isabel Vance, radiant in a designer gown worth more than my parents' house, walked down the aisle to marry the handsome and successful Ethan Hayes. The reception was a lavish affair, a testament to the Vance family's immense wealth and power. Eleanor, however, was not celebrating. "I told you this was a mistake," she hissed at her husband. "I don't trust him. First, his pregnant fiancée accidentally falls off a cliff and disappears, and now he's marrying our daughter? Doesn't that seem a little too convenient to you? You're being paranoid." Harrison dismissed her. "The police investigated. It was a tragic accident. The boy was heartbroken. Besides, he's a good man. Our daughter loves him. Be happy for her." But Eleanor couldn't shake the feeling that they had just invited a fox into the henhouse. The wedding was perfect, until it wasn't. As the guests mingled, a friend of Isabel's ran in from the grand entrance, her face pale with shock. "Isabel, you have to come see this." Isabel and Ethan rushed outside. There, on a massive, beautifully printed canvas, was their engagement portrait, and slashed across both of their faces were 2 deep, vicious gashes, ruining the perfect image. Isabel screamed. "Who did this? Who would do this?" They checked the security cameras. They had been mysteriously disabled an hour before. The police were called, but they found no leads. The perfect day had been marred by a single, inexplicable act of vandalism, a dark omen hanging over their new life together. As they left for their honeymoon in Korea, a seed of fear had been planted. And back in the city, in a quiet apartment, I was watching the news reports of their wedding on TV. My face was new, surgically reconstructed, beautiful but unfamiliar. I was no longer the naive, trusting Julia. That girl had died at the bottom of a cliff. In her place was someone new, someone stronger, someone who was coming back for revenge. And this time, I wouldn't be the one to fall. Life at the Vance mansion was not the fairy tale Ethan had envisioned. After their honeymoon, reality set in, and it was a cold, bitter reality defined by his mother-in-law. Eleanor had never trusted him, and she made his life a living hell. She treated him not as a son-in-law, but as an unwelcome intruder, a social climber who had duped her daughter. Her every word was a thinly veiled insult, her every look a judgment. At the breakfast table one morning, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. "Ethan, dear," Eleanor began, her voice dripping with faux sweetness. "Are you adjusting to life here? It must be quite a change from where you came from." "I'm adjusting just fine, thank you," he replied, his jaw tight. Are you? I was worried you might feel out of place. A tiny little house to a grand estate like this. It can be overwhelming for some people. Isabel, noticing her husband's discomfort, jumped to his defense. Mother, for heaven's sake, stop it. Why do you have to pick on him every single day? I'm not picking on him, darling. I'm simply making conversation. No, you're not. You're being cruel, and I'm sick of it. Oh, so now that you're married, you're taking his side against your own mother? Has he been teaching you to be disrespectful? Harrison Vance, who had been trying to ignore the exchange, finally slammed his hand on the table. That is enough. Both of you. Can we not have a single peaceful meal in this house? Do neither of you have any respect for me? Silence fell. Ethan sat there, swallowing his food, but it tasted like ash in his mouth. He had gotten the money, the status, the beautiful wife, but he had also inherited a daily dose of humiliation. He was living in a gilded cage, constantly reminded that he was an outsider, a charity case who had married into a world he would never truly belong to. Meanwhile, Alexander and I were building a new life. Or rather, he was building one for me. After the surgeries, after the long, painful months of recovery, he had become my rock, my protector, my only friend. He was a constant, steady presence in the chaos of my shattered world. He had spent his life savings on my medical bills without a second thought. My old self had been naive and trusting. My new self was cautious and vengeful. But my new face was a work of art. The surgeons had erased the old Julia and created someone stunningly, ethereally beautiful. I was a stranger to myself in the mirror. As the physical wounds healed, a quiet, domestic rhythm formed between us. He'd come home from his job at the precinct, and I'd have dinner ready. His mother, Olivia, started spending weekends with us. She was a kind, gentle soul who saw the pain behind my new face and treated me like a daughter. She saw the way her son looked at me and began to gently nudge him. She's a wonderful girl, Alexander, and she cares for you deeply. You should tell her how you feel. It's time you both found some happiness. But he was patient. He was waiting for me to heal, not just physically, but emotionally. He had fallen in love with the broken woman he had rescued from the sea, and he was willing to wait forever for her to be whole again. One afternoon, Harrison Vance was leaving a board meeting when he saw a familiar figure walking out of a supermarket across the street. Even after 26 years, he recognized her instantly. It was Olivia, his Olivia. "Stop the car," he ordered his driver. "Stop the car right now." He jumped out and ran after her, his heart pounding in his chest. "Olivia, is that you?" "Olivia." She heard her name and turned. The moment she saw him, a look of pure panic crossed her face. She dropped her groceries and ran. He chased her through the crowded streets, finally catching up to her when she tripped and fell. "It is you," he breathed, helping her up, his hands gentle on her arms. "You're alive. All these years. I thought you were gone." He pulled her into a hug, but she pushed him away. "You're mistaken," she stammered, her eyes darting around nervously. "My name isn't Olivia." She tried to run again, but he was faster. He followed her, keeping a discreet distance, all the way to a small, unassuming apartment building. The address of Alexander's apartment. He knew he wasn't mistaken. The small, distinctive birthmark on her chin was exactly as he remembered it. That evening, our doorbell rang. I opened it to find Harrison Vance standing on the doorstep, his face a mixture of hope and trepidation. My new face meant he didn't recognize me. "Excuse me, miss. I'm looking for a woman named Olivia." Does she live here? Yes, she does. She's my. Before I could finish, he pushed past me and walked into the apartment. Olivia and Alexander came out of the kitchen, their faces a picture of shock. You found me, Olivia whispered, her voice trembling. I told you it was her, Harrison said, his eyes filling with tears. I never stopped looking. I never stopped loving you. He then looked at Alexander, at the young man who had his eyes, his jawline. And you must be my son. For the first time in 26 years, father and son stood face to face. It was a moment heavy with unspoken words, with years of loss and regret. Harrison pulled Alexander into a fierce embrace. My boy, he sobbed. Look at you. You're a man. I slipped back into the kitchen, giving them their moment, my mind reeling. Alexander is Isabel's brother, my mortal enemy's half-brother. The irony was almost too much to bear, but then a new thought, a cold, calculating thought, began to form. This is it. This is my chance. Alexander is the key. Through him, I can get back into that world. Through him, I can get my revenge. Later that night, after the initial shock and the tearful reunions, Harrison demanded to know why Olivia had left, why she had let him believe she and their son were dead for over 2 decades. Olivia, a woman with a gentle heart, couldn't bring herself to dredge up the past, to speak of Eleanor's cruelty. But Harrison knew. It was Eleanor, wasn't it? She did something to you. She drove you away. His face hardened. I'm going to make her pay for this. No, Harrison, please, Olivia begged. It was a long time ago. Let it go. We both have our own lives now. We can't go back. She made it clear that while they shared a son, the love they once had was gone, a casualty of time and betrayal. She wanted only peace for her and Alexander, and an occasional, civil relationship with the father he had just found. But Harrison had other plans. He was a billionaire. He had a son, a rightful heir, and he was determined to give him everything he had been denied. He offered Alexander a high-level position at Orion Global, a place on the board, a share of the company. He wanted to bring his son into the fold. He went home that night a changed man and confronted his wife. I saw Olivia today, he said, his voice cold and flat. And our son, Alexander. Eleanor's world tilted on its axis. The ghost she had feared for 26 years had finally materialized. What are you talking about? She stammered. Don't play dumb with me, Eleanor. She's alive, and our son is a police detective. A damn good one, from what I hear. Imagine what he could uncover if he started digging into the events of 26 years ago. Eleanor sat in stunned silence as he told her everything. How Olivia, despite the immense wrong that had been done to her, had asked him to forgive Eleanor, to not disrupt the life they had built. She is a better person than you will ever be, Harrison said, his voice filled with contempt. And for her sake, and hers alone, I am letting this go. But you will go to her. You will apologize, and you will pray she accepts it. Because if you ever cross her, or my son, again, I will not be so merciful. Eleanor, for the first time in her life, was truly, utterly terrified. Alexander, however, refused his father's offers. He loved his job. He was proud of the life he and his mother had built. He didn't want his father's money or his power, but I did, or rather, I wanted him to have it. It was the cornerstone of my plan. Alexander, you have to do it. I pleaded with him one night. You have to take the job at Orion. Julia, why? My life is fine. We're fine. We don't need his money because it's your birthright. And because I need you to. I took a deep breath, my voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. I want revenge, Alexander. I want to make Ethan pay. If you're inside that company, I can get in too. I can get close to him. You promised you would help me. Revenge will only eat you alive, Julia. Let it go. Let me take care of you. We can be happy together. I can't be happy, I said, my voice cracking. Not until he's paid for what he did. To me and to our baby. I saw the hesitation in his eyes, and I knew I had to play my final card. If you won't help me, then I can't stay here. I'll go back to my mother's. I'll pay you back for the surgeries. Every penny, I swear. I turned and started to pack a bag. He followed me, his face a mask of anguish. Julia, please, don't go. I love you. I turned to face him, my eyes welling with tears. Do you want me to be your wife, Alexander? More than anything, then you'll do this for me. You can do both. Be a cop and be a director at Orion. You can have everything. You can have me. I stepped into his arms, my voice a seductive whisper. Don't you want me? Yes, he breathed, his resolve crumbling. God, yes, then you know what you have to do. He looked into my eyes, and I knew I had won. He would do anything for me. The next day, Harrison Vance officially introduced his son to the company and to his family. He named Alexander the new chief operating officer of the parent company, a position even higher than Ethan's. Isabel and Ethan were demoted to managing a subsidiary. The power dynamics had shifted in an instant. Isabel was furious, but she was also terrified of her new half-brother, the police detective. Ethan was blindsided, his carefully laid plans suddenly in jeopardy. He saw his inheritance, his billion-dollar prize, being sliced in half. At a tense family dinner that night, the air was thick with resentment. So, Isabel said, her voice dripping with sarcasm as she looked at Alexander. First time in a place like this? Must be quite an eye-opener for you. It's all right, Alexander replied calmly. Just, all right? This estate is worth over $100 million. A friend of mine just built one for $200 million. There are a lot of billionaires these days. His calm, unimpressed demeanor infuriated her. Harrison, beaming with pride, turned to his son. So, you start tomorrow? Yes, Alexander said. And I'd like to request that my girlfriend be given a position at the company as well. Wonderful, Harrison boomed. The more family, the better. Ethan felt a cold dread creep up his spine. His position was no longer secure. His future was no longer certain. And now, some new woman, this mystery girlfriend of his new rival, was entering the picture. The next morning, Ethan stepped into the executive elevator. Just as the doors were closing, a hand shot out to stop them. Excuse me, can I ride with you? A woman stepped in. She was breathtakingly beautiful, with an aura of confidence and style that was magnetic. But there was something about her. Her voice, her eyes, the way she held herself. It was hauntingly familiar. He stared at her, a sense of unease washing over him. Julia, he whispered, the name escaping his lips before he could stop it. She turned to him, a slow, brilliant smile spreading across her face. Hello, Ethan. It's been a while. His blood ran cold. He stumbled backward, his legs giving out from under him, and he collapsed onto the floor of the elevator. It wasn't possible. She was dead. He had killed her. And yet, here she was, standing before him, more beautiful than ever, with the smile of an avenging angel. And in that moment, Ethan Hayes knew that his carefully constructed world was about to come crashing down. My reappearance had broken him. He sat slumped on the floor of the elevator, staring up at me as if I were a specter risen from the grave. I, on the other hand, felt a thrilling surge of power. Seeing his terror was intoxicating. I played my part with practiced ease, my voice soft and gentle, betraying none of the cold fury that raged within me. "Ethan, are you all right?" I asked, feigning concern. "You look like you've seen a ghost." The elevator doors opened onto the executive floor, and I stepped out. He remained on the floor, paralyzed. "Aren't you coming?" I asked, a hint of amusement in my tone. "It's a long story. How about we get a coffee? We have a lot to catch up on." He slowly, shakily, got to his feet and followed me to the company cafeteria like a man being led to the gallows. We sat at a small, isolated table. He couldn't take my eyes off me, studying my new face, a strange mix of fear and fascination in his eyes. I was no longer the simple, unassuming girl he had tried to discard. I was a phoenix, risen from the ashes he had created, transformed into someone he could no longer control or comprehend. "It's been over 3 months," I began, my voice a carefully modulated purr. "How have you been? Your face?" He stammered. "What happened to your face?" "Oh, this?" I said, lightly touching my cheek. "When I fell, my face hit the rocks. It was a mess. I needed reconstructive surgery. Luckily, it was a success. No permanent damage," they said. "But how did you survive? I saw you go under." They searched for days. I had rehearsed this story 100 times with Alexander. It needed to be believable, to erase any suspicion he might have. "Honestly, I don't remember much," I said, my eyes wide with feigned innocence. "One minute I was falling, the next I woke up on a beach, miles away. Some kind people found me and took me to a hospital, but I had amnesia, the head trauma, you know. I couldn't remember who I was, where I came from. By the time my memory started to come back, I heard you'd already gotten married to Isabel." I let my voice tremble just enough, a single, perfect tear rolling down my cheek. I was too late. I was so heartbroken. I blame myself. If only I had remembered sooner. He stared at me, his mind processing this new, convenient narrative. Then, the guilt, or perhaps the fear of being discovered, prompted his own lie. "Julia, I'm so sorry," he said, his voice thick with false remorse. "I was devastated. I thought you were dead. I looked for you, I swear I did. But they found nothing. I was in a dark place. Isabel, she was there for me. She helped me through it. One thing just led to another." He reached across the table, trying to take my hand. "Please, don't be angry with me." I wanted to recoil from his touch, but I forced myself to remain still. Inside, I was screaming, "You monster! You left me to die. You murdered our child, and you have the audacity to ask for my forgiveness." But on the outside, I was a picture of grace and understanding. Angry? Why would I be angry? It was an accident. It was my fault. I slipped. "You couldn't have done anything." He let out a breath he seemed to have been holding for months. The relief that washed over his face was palpable. He believed me. The stupid, forgiving, naive Julia he remembered was still there, just with a prettier face. "So, where are you staying now?" he asked, his curiosity getting the better of him. "I drove past your old apartment a while back. There was a for sale sign in the window." "Oh." My mom moved back to her hometown to be with my grandmother. I'm staying with a friend. A friend? Who? Alexander, I said, delivering the line with perfect nonchalance. The new COO. You know, Harrison Vance's son. His jaw dropped. You're with him. Well, we're seeing each other, I said with a coy smile. He's been very good to me. And now that you're a married man, I have to move on, don't I? You want me to be happy, right? Of course, he said, but his eyes told a different story. A story of jealousy, of possessiveness. Of course I want you to be happy. I leaned in, my voice dropping to a nostalgic whisper. It's just, if I hadn't slipped that day, we'd be married right now, wouldn't we? Life is so unfair. I sighed, a picture of tragic longing. But it's okay. As long as you're happy, I'm happy. Promise me you'll be happy, Ethan. He was completely ensnared. He saw not a threat, but an opportunity. The woman he had wronged, the loose end he thought was gone forever, was back. And not only did she not suspect him, she was still in love with him. I'll try, he said, his voice thick with emotion. And Julia, you be happy too. I gave him a brave, sad smile. I have to warn you though, I added, my tone playful but with a sharp, underlying edge. If Isabel doesn't treat you right, I'll come and take you back, and I won't hesitate for a second. He looked at me, at my beautiful new face, and the old feelings, the old desires, came rushing back. He had married for money, but he had loved me, or at least some part of him had, and that part was now being reawakened. And the baby? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. My face fell. The grief I feigned was all too real. I'm so sorry, Ethan, I said, my voice breaking. The impact. I lost the baby. I'm so sorry I couldn't save him. It's not your fault, he said, his own eyes welling with tears. It was the perfect, tragic ending to our story, one that absolved him of all guilt. I reached out and placed my hand on his. His was trembling. He was afraid, not of me, but of the secrets he was keeping. I smiled, a gentle, reassuring smile that was the most devious lie I had ever told. He returned to his office a new man, reborn in his own deception. The guilt that had been eating away at him was gone, replaced by a giddy sense of relief and something more, a renewed sense of desire. She's more beautiful than ever, he thought to himself, and she still loves me. She has no idea what I did. I'm the luckiest bastard on earth. Thanks to Alexander's influence, I was given the position of head of the marketing department, my office conveniently located just down the hall from Ethan's. My plan was in motion. Isabel, meanwhile, was at home. She had recently discovered she was pregnant, and the morning sickness had been relentless. But her territorial instincts were as sharp as ever. She had spies in the office, and it wasn't long before one of them called her. Isabel? It's Megan. You're not going to believe this, but Ethan has been spending a lot of time with the new marketing director. They had lunch together today. Who is she? Isabel demanded. Her name is Julia. Julia? The name was a cold spike of fear in her heart. Send me a picture. Now. No need. Isabel snapped, already grabbing her car keys. I'm on my way. She drove to the office like a woman possessed. It can't be, she thought, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. She's dead. She has to be dead. She stormed into the office and went straight to her spy. Where is she? In Ethan's office. They're going over reports. Isabel didn't knock. She threw the door open with such force that it slammed against the wall. Ethan and I were sitting at his desk, a stack of papers between us, a perfect picture of professional collaboration. "Ethan," she shrieked. Then she saw me. My new face confused her for a moment, but my eyes, my voice, she knew. "You," she breathed, her face draining of all color. "It can't be." "Hello, Isabel?" I said, my voice calm and even. "It's been a while, but you're dead. You fell off a cliff." "I'm a survivor," I said with a sweet smile. "As you can see, I'm the new head of marketing. Ethan and I were just discussing strategy. You shouldn't worry though, he's all yours." My words did nothing to reassure her. Her eyes darted between us, her mind consumed by jealousy and suspicion. She saw not a colleague, but a rival who had returned from the dead to reclaim her man. "What are you doing here?" she hissed, her voice trembling with rage. "What is your real motive? You're here to steal my husband, aren't you?" "Isabel, darling," I said, my tone patronizingly calm. "I've already had this conversation with Ethan. I'm with your brother now. I'm only interested in Ethan as a friend, an older brother figure. You have nothing to worry about." Of course, she didn't believe me. No woman would. She lunged at me, her face contorted in a mask of fury. "You liar. You think you can fool me? I'll kill you." "Isabel, stop it," Ethan yelled, jumping between us. "What is wrong with you? We're working. Working? Is that what you call it? You're cheating on me with your ex-girlfriend, and you have the nerve to lie to my face." "That's enough," he roared, his patience finally snapping. "Go home, Isabel. You're making a scene." Seeing them fight, seeing the cracks in their perfect marriage begin to show, filled me with a dark, satisfying joy. I quietly stood up and slipped out of the room, leaving them to their venomous exchange. As I walked down the hall, I could hear their shouts echoing behind me. "I hate you. I hate you." "Then leave. I'm sick of your insane jealousy." I smiled to myself. This was only the beginning. I was going to dismantle their lives, piece by painful piece, and I was going to enjoy every second of it. The argument in Ethan's office escalated into a full-blown war. Isabel, consumed by a toxic cocktail of pregnancy hormones and pure, unadulterated rage, completely lost control. She screamed, she cried, she hurled insults at him. Then she lunged at him again, her nails bared like claws. He grabbed her wrists to stop her, and in her fury, she started kicking him. "You bastard. I can't believe you'd do this to me." He'd had enough. He shoved her away, and in that moment, something inside him snapped. He slapped her, hard. The sound echoed in the silent office. A sharp, ugly crack that stunned them both into silence. She stared at him, her hand flying to her cheek, her eyes wide with disbelief. You hit me. Look at yourself, Isabel," he said, his voice cold and devoid of emotion. "Look at how you're acting. It's pathetic." "You're pathetic," she shrieked, her voice rising to a hysterical pitch. "Do you have any idea who you are? You're nothing without me. You're just a dog I let live in my house, a piece of trash I picked up off the street." His face hardened into a mask of pure fury. For months, he had endured the subtle and not so subtle humiliations from her and her mother. He had swallowed their condescension, their snide remarks, their constant reminders of his humble origins. But to be called a dog, to have his success, the very thing he had sacrificed his soul for, thrown back in his face as a gift she had bestowed upon him. It was too much. "A dog?" he repeated, his voice dangerously quiet. Is that what you think I am? That's what you are, and don't you ever forget it. I can have you thrown out of this company, out of this family, with a single word. He looked at her, at this spoiled, screaming harpy he had chained himself to, and he felt nothing but disgust. He thought of me, of my gentle words, my unwavering belief in him, my sweet, unconditional love. He had thrown it all away for this, for a woman who saw him as a pet. The regret was a bitter, burning acid in his throat. Isabel continued to rage, sweeping papers off his desk, throwing a pen holder against the wall. I want her gone, Ethan. Do you hear me? Fire her. Get her out of this company, out of our lives, or I swear to God, I will make you suffer. She's not going anywhere, he said, his voice flat. She's Alexander's girlfriend. Soon, she'll be your sister-in-law. So you better get used to it. The information hit her like a second slap. What? She's with Alexander? My brother? Yes. The world is a small, funny place, isn't it? He said with a humorless smile. A few months ago, you and she were fighting over me. Now, you're about to be family. It's almost poetic. Isabel finally fell silent, the fight draining out of her. The news was too bizarre, too surreal to process. She stared at him, her chest heaving, and finally, she turned and stormed out. The war between them was far from over. From that day on, their marriage became a battlefield. My presence in the office was a constant spark, igniting their jealousy and resentment. They fought constantly, their arguments growing more vicious, more personal. Isabel's paranoia intensified. She accused him of having an affair with me at every turn. He, in turn, grew colder, more distant, retreating into his work and into the memories of the life he had thrown away. My own campaign, meanwhile, continued with methodical precision. My second move was to re-establish the old intimacy, the old routines, to make him remember what he had lost. I started bringing him coffee in the mornings, just like I used to. Here, I'd say, placing the mug on his desk. Just the way you like it. Black, 2 sugars. Thanks, Julia, he'd say, a grateful, sad smile on his face. You remembered? Some things are hard to forget, I'd reply, my voice full of hidden meaning. Before turning to leave, he'd watch me go, then pick up the mug, the familiar aroma, a potent reminder of a happier, simpler time. A time before the lies, before the betrayal. He was falling deeper and deeper into my trap. His longing for the past made his present reality with Isabel even more unbearable. She would show up at the office unannounced, her eyes scanning for any sign of me, her mood instantly souring. You're drinking coffee again? She'd snap, seeing the mug on his desk. He'd sigh, a weary, defeated sound. Isabel, you're pregnant. You should be at home, resting. Why are you even here? I'm here to work, she'd retort, and to keep an eye on my husband. I'm not an idiot, Ethan. I know she's the one making you coffee. You think I don't see what's going on? Nothing is going on. We're colleagues, that's it. Why can't you get that through your head? Because I know her. I know what she wants. And because you've been cold and distant ever since she came back, you come home late, you barely speak to me. It's because of her, isn't it? You spend all day with her, and you can't wait to get away from me. I spend all day working, Isabel, trying to run $1 billion company, a job your father entrusted to me, a job I'm doing while you sit at home doing nothing. The reason I don't want to come home is because I'm sick of the fighting. I'm sick of the accusations. I'm sick of you. The fights became their new normal, and with every argument, every insult, he pulled further away from her and drifted closer to me. One evening, as he was leaving the office, he called his old college buddy, Mark. "Mark, it's Ethan. You busy? I need a drink. A lot of drinks." I, of course, had been waiting for just such an opportunity. I had overheard his call. I knew the bar he was going to. It was our old spot, the place we'd gone on our third date. I smiled to myself. The game was about to enter its next phase. I went home, put on a stunning, backless red dress, and told Alexander I was meeting an old friend for dinner. He looked at me, a worried expression on his face. He knew I was lying. He knew where I was going, but he also knew he couldn't stop me. My quest for vengeance was a runaway train, and he was just a helpless spectator on the tracks. I found Ethan and Mark at a corner table on the second floor of the bar, already several whiskeys deep. "So what's the problem, man?" Mark was saying. "You're the son-in-law of a billionaire. You should be on top of the world. You have no idea," Ethan slurred, his words thick with alcohol and self-pity. "You have no idea what it's like. My wife, my mother-in-law, they treat me like garbage. They think I'm a dog who should be grateful for the scraps they throw me. I hate them. I hate my life. So, divorce her. It's not that simple," Ethan groaned. I gave up. I gave up so much to get here. The woman I loved, my child. I threw it all away for this. For a miserable, gilded cage. I think I'm being punished." Just then, Mark looked up and saw me walking toward the table. His jaw dropped. "Holy. Ethan, look." I approached the table, feigning surprise. "Ethan? What a coincidence." "Julia," he said, his eyes widening. "What are you doing here?" "I was supposed to meet a friend, but it looks like I've been stood up." I smiled. "Can I join you?" "Of course," he said, his eyes already devouring me in the red dress. Mark, meanwhile, was speechless. "Julia? Is that really you? Man, you look incredible, totally different. I almost didn't recognize you. It's amazing what a good surgeon can do," I said with a laugh. "Well, you look fantastic," he said. He then turned to Ethan and winked. "Some guys have all the luck, a beautiful wife and a stunning ex-girlfriend who looks like a supermodel. You, my friend, are living the dream." He clapped Ethan on the shoulder. "Well, I gotta go. The girlfriend's calling. You two have fun." He left, and I slid into the booth, my leg brushing against Ethan's. He was drunk, and his defenses were down. "Don't drink anymore," I said, my voice a soft, concerned whisper. "You're already drunk." "I'm not drunk," he slurred, reaching for his glass. "Let's have a toast." He was pliable, vulnerable. He was mine for the taking. By midnight, he was completely incoherent. I helped him out of the bar, his arm slung around my shoulder, his head resting against mine. "Let me take you home," I said. "Don't want to go home," he mumbled. "Hate that house. Hate her." As I helped him into my car, his phone fell out of his pocket. I picked it up. The screen was lit up with an incoming call. "Isabel." I smiled. I pressed the green answer button and then placed the phone, still connected, face down on the passenger seat. I wanted her to hear every word. I leaned in close to Ethan, my hand resting on his thigh. "Ethan, you can't say things like that. Isabel is your wife. She's at home, waiting for you." "Don't care," he mumbled. "She's a monster. Her mother's a monster. I hate them. I hate them all." I could almost hear Isabel's sharp intake of breath on the other end of the line. "Ethan, you're just drunk." "Not drunk," he insisted. He turned to me, his eyes full of a desperate, drunken longing. Julia, I miss you. God, I miss you so much. Ethan, you can't. You're married. Don't love her, he said, his voice cracking. Never loved her. It was for the money, the ambition, the person I love. The only person I've ever loved is you. Please, Ethan, stop. I can't. I'll never forget you. Ever. We should just be quiet, I whispered. In case someone is listening. I then ended the call. Across the city, Isabel let out a primal scream of rage and grief. She threw her phone against the wall, shattering it into 1,000 pieces. That bastard, that lying, cheating bastard, I'm going to kill him. She grabbed her car keys and tore out of the driveway, driving aimlessly through the city streets, trying to find him, her mind a maelstrom of hate. I, however, drove him straight home, straight back to the Vance mansion. I wanted to deliver him to her personally, to twist the knife just a little bit deeper. I was half carrying him through the grand entrance hall when Isabel's car screeched into the driveway. She burst through the door, her face pale and tear-streaked, and saw us. At the same moment, Eleanor appeared at the top of the grand staircase. They both saw him, drunk and disheveled, clinging to me, mumbling my name over and over again. Julia. I miss you, Julia. Get your hands off my husband, Isabel shrieked, launching herself at me. I calmly deposited Ethan onto a nearby sofa and turned to face her. Good evening, Isabel. Mrs. Vance. I was just returning your husband. He had a little too much to drink. You tramp, Eleanor screeched from the stairs. You knew he was married. How dare you seduce him? Ma'am, with all due respect, your son-in-law and I just happened to be at the same bar. It was a complete coincidence. I looked at her, a cold, knowing smile on my face. Besides, you of all people should know how persuasive a determined woman can be. Isn't that right? Just ask Olivia. The color drained from Eleanor's face. She was speechless. I then turned back to Isabel, my voice dripping with false sympathy. You should really be more careful, you know. He told me tonight how much he despises you, how he hates your entire family. If you're not careful, he might just leave you for good. I looked her up and down, my expression one of pure contempt. Though I can't imagine why he'd want to stay, that was the final straw. She lunged at me, and this time I was ready. I sidestepped her clumsy attack and slapped her twice, hard across the face. As she reeled back, stunned, I took off my stiletto heel and brought the sharp point down hard on her head. She crumpled to the floor, unconscious. Eleanor screamed. I calmly put my shoe back on, smoothed down my dress, and walked out of the house, leaving a scene of chaos and destruction in my wake. The first battle was over, and I had won. Alexander was waiting for me on the porch when I got home. Julia, where have you been? I was so worried. I was just tying up a loose end. He knew. He saw the look in my eyes, the triumphant, cold glint of victory. He pulled me into a hug. Please, Julia, stop this. Let it go. Let me make you happy. This hatred. It's going to destroy you. I can't stop, I whispered, my voice muffled against his chest. Not yet. I want to see him lose everything, just like I did. I looked up at him, my eyes pleading. Just a little longer, Alexander. Please, wait for me. And then I promise, it'll be just us. We'll be happy. I kissed him. A deep, desperate kiss, pouring all of my broken pieces, all of my pain and my rage and my love for him into it, silencing his protests, sealing his complicity in my dark and twisted plan. Isabel woke up the next morning with a pounding headache and a heart full of hate. She had spent the rest of the night in a furious, sleepless rage, replaying the events over and over in her mind. Ethan, meanwhile, had passed out on the sofa and woken up to a world of trouble. He didn't even make it to the breakfast table before Eleanor ambushed him. "Ethan," she said, her voice dangerously calm. "We need to talk." "What is it now, Eleanor?" He groaned, his head throbbing. "Don't you dare use that tone with me. After what you did last night, you think you can just waltz in here at 1 a.m, drunk, with your ex-girlfriend hanging all over you, and not face any consequences?" "I just went for a drink with a friend," he mumbled defensively. "I didn't do anything wrong." "You didn't do anything wrong," she scoffed, her voice rising. "You humiliated my daughter, your wife, the woman who is carrying your child, and you did it in our home. You have no shame, do you? No decency." He sighed, too hungover and too weary to fight. "It was Isabel's fault. She doesn't respect me. She's constantly belittling me. I was just blowing off some steam." "Oh, so this is her fault now? You sneak around behind her back, and it's her fault. Let me make something very clear to you. If you do not end this disgusting affair with that woman, you will regret it. I will personally see to it that you are destroyed." "She sounds just like you know," he muttered under his breath. "Always with the threats, the insults." "What was that?" "Nothing. I'm warning you, Ethan. I got my daughter for a reason. You were a good investment. But if you think for 1 second that you are irreplaceable, you are sadly mistaken. Don't bite the hand that feeds you." Just then, Harrison came down the stairs. "What is all this shouting about?" "Ask your precious son-in-law," Eleanor spat. "Ask him where he was last night until 1 a.m. Harrison turned to Ethan, his expression stern. "Well, what's this about?" Ethan knew he was trapped. "I went out for a drink with an old friend," he admitted. "Julia was there. She brought me home because I'd had too much to drink." Harrison's face darkened. "Ethan, I don't know what's going on between you and Isabel, but going out drinking with your ex-girlfriend is a mistake. A big one. I'm letting this go, this one time, but if it ever happens again, there will be serious consequences. Do you understand me?" "Yes, sir," Ethan said, but his heart wasn't in it. He felt no remorse, only resentment. He was tired of being treated like a child, of having to answer for his every move. He turned and walked out, not even bothering to apologize. He got to the office and stepped into the elevator, only to find me already there. He looked exhausted, defeated. "Rough night?" I asked, my voice soft with faux sympathy. He didn't answer. He just sagged against the wall of the elevator and buried his face in my shoulder. "I'm so tired, Julia," he mumbled, his voice muffled. "So tired of all of it." I gently patted his back. "It's okay, Ethan. You're strong. You'll get through this. You're the only one who thinks so," he whispered. Just as he said it, the elevator doors opened. Alexander was standing there, his face a thundercloud. He saw us, his fiancée, comforting her ex-boyfriend, who had his head buried in her shoulder. His eyes narrowed into slits of pure fury. He strode into the elevator, grabbed my arm, and pulled me out, marching me down the hall to his office without a word. "What the hell was that?" he demanded, closing the door behind us. "It was nothing, Alexander. He was just having a bad morning." "Nothing?" "He had his hands all over you, and you were letting him." "What kind of game are you playing, Julia?" "The kind of game that's going to make him pay for what he did," I shot back. "It's a trap, Alexander. I'm luring him in. That's all it is. I don't like it. I don't like seeing you with him. It's almost almost over, I promised, my voice softening. I walked over to him, wrapping my arms around his neck. Just a little more time. Then he'll lose everything, and I'll be all yours. We can get married, have babies, be happy. Just wait for me, please. He looked into my eyes, torn between his love for me and his hatred for my plan. I don't know how much more of this I can take, Julia. Then we should break up, I said, my voice suddenly cold. I knew it was a cruel manipulation, but it was the only weapon I had. He flinched as if I'd slapped him. I turned and walked out, leaving him standing there, heartbroken and conflicted. My plan was working perfectly on Ethan, but it was destroying the one good man in my life. A part of me felt a pang of guilt, but the thirst for revenge was stronger. It was an addiction, and I was in too deep to stop now. That night, Ethan drove to my apartment, to Alexander's apartment. He was waiting outside when Alexander got home from the precinct. "What do you want?" Alexander asked, his voice tight. "I'm here to see Julia. She's busy." "Go home to your wife." Ethan laughed. A short, humorless sound. "I have a date with Julia tonight. I think you're the one who should go home." "A date? Are you insane? You're married?" "That's my business, and I think you should stay away from her. She doesn't belong with you." "You son of a bitch," Alexander growled. "You have no right. You have a pregnant wife at home. So, she trapped me into that marriage. She deserves whatever she gets." That was it. Alexander snapped. He lunged at Ethan, his fist connecting with Ethan's jaw in a sickening crunch. He threw him to the ground and rained down a furious volley of punches, all of his pent-up rage and jealousy and frustration finally exploding. I heard the commotion and ran outside. "Alexander, stop. You'll kill him." I pulled him off of Ethan. He stood there, his chest heaving, his knuckles bloody, then turned and stormed back into the apartment. I knelt down beside Ethan. "Are you okay?" I think he broke my jaw," he groaned, spitting out a mouthful of blood. "You shouldn't have provoked him," I said, helping him to his feet. He looked at me, his eyes full of a desperate hope. "You're worried about me, aren't you, Julia? Let's start over. I'll divorce her. We can get married. We can be happy. Just say the word." I smiled. It was a cold, triumphant smile. He had finally, completely taken the bait. "You pathetic fool," I thought. "You are about to pay for everything." He had thrown me away for money and power, and now he was ready to throw all of that away for me. The irony was exquisite. He went home that night and told Isabel he wanted a divorce. She laughed in his face. "A divorce? You must be joking." "I'm not joking," he said, his voice flat. "I'm done. I can't live like this anymore." "You want to leave me for her, don't you?" "For that ghost?" "Yes," he said, the single word a declaration of war. "You bastard!" she screamed, grabbing a heavy glass vase from a nearby table and hurling it at his head. He ducked, and it shattered against the wall behind him. "I am carrying your child. How could you do this to me?" He sneered. "Are you sure it's mine? For all I know, it could belong to any one of the dozens of men you slept with in Europe." The insult was so vile, so far beyond the pale, that it momentarily stunned her into silence. Then, she let out a cry of pure rage and flew at him, her hands balled into fists. He shoved her, hard, and she stumbled backward, falling to the floor. "Don't you ever touch me again," he warned, his voice a low growl. He turned and walked out of the room. She scrambled to her feet and ran after him, chasing him down the grand staircase and out to the driveway. He got into his car and started the engine. She ran and stood in front of the car, blocking his path. "You're not going anywhere," she screamed, pounding her fists on the hood. "You're not leaving me for her. Get out of the way, Isabel." "No, I'd rather die than let you go to her." "That can be arranged," he muttered, his hand tightening on the steering wheel. He was a cornered animal, his mind clouded by rage and a desperate desire to escape. "I'm warning you. Get out of the way." "No, you don't have the guts." "You're challenging me?" he roared. "Fine. You want to die? Then die." He slammed his foot on the accelerator. The car lurched forward. Isabel stood her ground, her eyes squeezed shut, convinced he was bluffing. He wasn't. The impact was brutal. The car hit her with a sickening thud, sending her flying through the air before she landed in a crumpled heap on the manicured lawn. For a moment, Ethan just sat there, stunned, the adrenaline and rage draining away, replaced by a cold, stark horror. He got out of the car and ran to her. "Isabella, Isabella, open your eyes." She was unconscious, a pool of blood spreading out from beneath her. He saw the life draining out of her, and he panicked. He looked around. No one had seen. He could still get away. He scrambled back into his car and sped off into the night, leaving his wife to die on the lawn. Eleanor found her moments later. The screams that echoed through the quiet, wealthy neighborhood where the sounds of a mother's worst nightmare come to life. Isabel survived, but the baby did not. Ethan was a fugitive for less than 24 hours before the police found him, hiding out in a cheap motel on the outskirts of the city. He was arrested and charged with attempted murder. He lost everything: his wife, his child, his career, his freedom. My revenge was complete. He had paid, and paid dearly. A few months later, Alexander and I were married in a small, quiet ceremony. I had finally let go of the hatred, the need for vengeance. It had served its purpose, and now it was time to heal. It was time to be happy. Life moved on. I found peace in my new life with Alexander. We were expecting our first child, a new beginning, a symbol of hope and love after so much pain. And Isabel, she found a different kind of peace. She visited Ethan in prison every week. She never missed a visit. The trauma, the loss, it had changed her. It had stripped away the spoiled, arrogant princess and left behind a woman who was capable of forgiveness, of a quiet, enduring love. She promised him she would wait for him, and he, humbled and broken, promised to spend the rest of his life making up for the terrible wrongs he had done. In the end, everyone got what they deserved, or perhaps what they needed: a second chance, a new beginning, a life sentence. And for me, a quiet, happy ending, far from the wreckage of the past. A life I had almost lost, but had fought my way back to, with a new face, a new love, and a future that was finally, truly my own.